Hi everyone, this is Yam Garcia once again, and for today's video, we will be talking about the continuation of biogeochemical cycling of materials. So just like what I have promised last time, I will make a separate video for water cycle, nitrogen cycle, and sedimentary or phosphorus cycle. Of all the non-living components, water has the greatest influence on the living inhabitants of the ecosystem. The plants and animals are composed largely of water in their bodies and dependent on waters for life. Water is also vital for chemical reaction such as photosynthesis. The continuous circulation of water between the seas, the oceans, air, land, and all living things, that process is what we call hydrological or water cycle. So, nagsisimula ang water cycle kapag yung sun, hinit niya na yung ocean and the other bodies of water. And of course, it evaporates into the atmosphere, which is the first process, the evaporation. The animals and humans, naglulose sila ng water to the air kapag nagbi-breathe out or nagsisweat. Yung plants and animals, naglulose ng water vapor through their leaves and through the process of transpiration. Yung water, kapag nag-evaporate na siya into the air, lalamig yan, then magkukondense at magpo-form ng water droplets into the atmosphere. Magsasama-sama yon para mag-form ng clouds. The formation of clouds is called condensation, and when the clouds gets heavier, their water droplets eventually babagsak po yan in different forms, pwedeng in the form of rain, snow, sleet, and hail. And that process is what we called precipitation. Yung tubig babagsak sa lupa, while some waters will flow into the other bodies of water. So, babalik naman sila sa kanilang source. So, that's how water cycle happens in an ecosystem on the environment. So, that is the reason why ecosystem ay hindi nawawalan ng water. It's because of water cycle. Kaya lang, nagkakaroon ng disruption sa water cycle dahil sa human activities. Una na dyan yung mga overpumping ng mga aquifers. When we say overpumping, ito po yung labis-labis na pagpapump ng water. So, when we say aquifers, ito naman yung layer ng earth na kung saan merong water. So, kung nasusobrahan yung pagpapump ng mga waters dito at hindi napapalitan agad, nakaka-apekto yan sa water cycle. Second is polluting the aquatic environment from runoffs, waste, from chemical compounds, household, commercial, and industrial sources. That causes serious water pollution. Dahil dyan, yung mga organisms na naninirahan sa water, naapektuhan sila. Pwede silang mamatay o masira ang kanilang mga inhabitants. We are done about water cycle, so we can now move on to nitrogen cycle. What exactly is the nitrogen cycle? The nitrogen cycle is a repeating cycle of processes during which nitrogen moves through both living and non-living things, the atmosphere, soil, water, plants, animals, and bacteria. In order to move through the different parts of the cycle, nitrogen must change forms. So, yung nitrogen ay ginagamit ng mga organisms para makapag-build sila ng proteins and nucleic acid. Yung protein, ito yung main structure and chemical building blocks ng lahat ng organisms. Yung nucleic acid, ito yung nasa DNA molecules which carries the instruction necessary for all light activities. So, although yung nitrogen makes up siya ng 80% ng atmosphere, pero yung animals and plants, hindi nila ito nagagamit directly. Instead, itong nitrogen-fixing bacteria dito sa may soil Sila yung nagpi-play ng vital role doon sa recycling nitrogen sa pamamagitan ng mako-convert itong nitrogen into a form na pwedeng gamitin ng ibang organisms. So dito nagsisimula yung nitrogen cycle. Itong nitrogen-fixing bacteria, nakatira yan sa mga roots ng peas and beans. And some other plants, ini-extract nila yung nitrogen directly sa air para makagawa sila ng nitrates. Ito yung usable form ng nitrogen. Ang tawag po doon is nitrogen fixation. While other nitrogen compounds, nafo-form sila in the air by lightning. Si lightning, kinukumbine niya si nitrogen and oxygen in the atmosphere para makapag-form sila ng nitric acid. Itong compounds na to nawa-washed down by rain at nakukontribute yon doon sa nitrogen content ng soil. Itong nitrifying bacteria, kino-convert niya itong nitrogen compound into nitrates. Then the plants will take it in through their roots. Some nitrogen compounds are eaten by herbivores. Then, maipapasa naman ito sa carnivores kapag kinain sila ng carnivores. Yung nitrogen, ultimately, babalik yon sa soil from animal waste o yung mga dumi ng hayop or from the remains of plants and animals. Kapag namatay itong plants and animals, yung soil organisms or yung mga decomposers, i-break down itong remains ng mga plants and animals to form nitrogen compounds. Itong denitrifying bacteria, babalik ta rin niya yung process. Gagamitin niya itong nitrates for energy, then i-release itong nitrogen back into the atmosphere. Ang mga tao, nag-intervene sa nitrogen cycle sa pamamagitan ng pag-a-add ng large amount ng nitric oxide into the atmosphere kapag nagkakaroon ng burning fast fuel at high temperature. Another thing na nakakapag-add ng nitric oxide sa pamamagitan is yung pag-a-apply ng mga commercialized inorganic fertilizers to soil. Itong mga human activities ay nakakaapekto sa nitrogen cycle. Hindi maganda na mataas ang level ng nitrogen sa ating atmosphere dahil nakakaapekto ito sa human health. Napapababa nito ang biodiversity at higit sa lahat, pinapalakas nito ang global warming. So once again, this is how nitrogen cycle happens in an ecosystem. Our last cycling material is sedimentary or phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus cycle is a biogeochemical process that involves the movement of phosphorus through the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. Si sedimentary or phosphorus cycle, ito ay dinidescribe niya lang yung transformation and translocation ng phosphorus na usually makikita yan sa soil sa water. Living in organic material. So, isa ito sa mga important components ng maraming mga biological molecules such as DNA as well as in the membrane structure ng cell. Present din ito sa mga bones and teeth ng animals in significant quantities. So, one of the major differences of phosphorus cycle with the low carbon in nitrogen is that yung phosphorus is not present in the atmosphere bilang isang gas. So, si phosphorus ay makikita siya o naka-embed siya sa rocks. Yung phosphorus compounds, nare-release po siya by means of erosion of rocks where itong compounds na ito ay madidissolve sa water. So, yung mga plants naman, tinitake in nila yung phosphorus that they need from the water. So, ibig sabihin, yung phosphorus na present sa water, once na inabsorb po yan ng plants, matitake in nila yung phosphorus na yon. So, yung mga animals naman, nakukuha nila yung phosphorus by consuming the plants. Kapag yung organisms namatay, so, naglabas ng waste material, yung decomposing organisms, usually yung mga decomposers, binabalik nila yung phosphorus sa soil. Tapos, yung mga phosphorus na nahalo sa water, ang nangyayari dyan, nagpre-precipitate yan or maidideposit yan at babalik yan, mai-elevate sa pamamagitan ng mga geological process tulad ng volcanoes, landslide, etc. na siya namang magiging dahilan para maging available yan sa lahat ng mga organism sa ecosystem. Nakikita niyo po yung mga yellow rectangles dito? Ito yung sources ng phosphorus dito sa ecosystem na to. Itong mga arrows naman, ito yung mga pathways na affected by humans, yung mga human activities na nakaka-distract sa phosphorus cycle. So number 1, yung mining phosphate from rocks na ginagawa ng mga tao para sa production ng fertilizers. Number 2, yun yung pagki-cleared up ng forest or cutting down of trees. So kapag mababa ang phosphorus level ng soil, hindi mag-grow or mag-healed or madidelay ang maturity ng mga plants. So once again, this is the sedimentary or phosphorus cycle. So I made a summary of biogeochemical cycles, the cycling materials, the importance to the environment, and the human activities that disrupt the cycling materials. Please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you'll get updates every time I upload some videos here. I hope you'll get something on this topic, and I'll see you on my next video. This is Yam Garcia again. Thank you.